Hey, my name is Emily Whitehurst, and I have a solo project called Survival Guide. You might remember me as Agent M, former vocalist of the punk band Tsunami Bomb, but Survival Guide is very different from that. I just released an album on Double Helix Records called Death Dreams. It's synthy, sort of new wave-ish, sort of cinematic indie pop stuff, and I got to work with an amazing producer, Bob Hogue. I think you'll like it, and maybe you will love it. You can find it on any music streaming service under Survival Guide, and it's also on vinyl until we run out. There are 5 beautiful vinyl variants, but only 100 of each. You can find me on social media under Survival Guide Music, or find everything at my website, which is Survival Guide without vowels. So that's srvvlgd.com. Hope to see you around online or at a live show.
AV in your ears, that's Ambush Van, giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my boy Steve, Fascination Street, you already know. Let's get it when you whip in the Fascination Street. What do you...
Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with Nicole Arlyn. Nicole is an actress, an author, and a producer. And in this episode, we find out about some of her projects, including the film Potluck, when she was just a wee 6-month-old baby. Talk a little bit about her time in Paris and what she learned there. I have to ask her why she signed up to be in the Miss Ohio pageant, which she came in first runner-up. And then we talk about working with some of Hollywood's greats, including Michale Imperioli and Joaquin Phoenix. She shares what it's like to work with some of these great actors and some of the things that they all have in common. Then we take a weird sidestep about her career as an author. Nicole Arlyn has so far written 26 novels, including the Sugarspear Chronicles. All of these are available through Kindle on Amazon. And her 8-year-old son recently started a production company called Bird in the Wild Productions to turn these 26 novels into films. How crazy is this? And don't forget to add to your VOD list Til Death Do Us part, which has been compared to the Kill Bill films. And this is my conversation with actress, author, and producer Nicole Arlyn.
Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Nicole Arlyn. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Nicole, what I like to do is I like to start from the beginning. It helps us understand how the guests got from where they were to where they are. So if you don't mind, where were you born and raised? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Brooklyn, and I grew up on Long Island in a town called Lynbrook, which was a very special town near the ocean of Long Beach, Long Island. It was a beautiful thing.
Well, what was so special about it? You said it was a special little town.
It was so special because we had a real sense of community, like out of a movie, kids playing in the streets and little houses, and you would walk to your friend's house. And well, now I'm crying already. My parents divorced when I was 7. And so that town was like a big house for me, my friends' houses. And I grew up also with a single mom and a little brother. And it was just a very special place to explore. And I used to do plays in my backyard under a weeping willow tree that had a hump around it. And the kids in the neighborhood would come over and do crazy little funny plays. And I would write under that tree. And that's where everything in me comes from, acting and writing and the things that I do. I think there was something in that backyard.
Maybe there was something in the water.
You know, it's funny because you just brought this up, but literally, not to toot my own horn, but when I first started doing films that were seen in Long Island, they wrote an article about me. And the title of the article was, "There's something in the water," that this girl became an actress. So maybe there was something in the water at the time.
Or maybe I wrote that article. We'll never know.
And our paths cross again.
So what gave you this creative energy? You know, you said you were putting on plays when you were a little kid and you would lay under that weeping willow and write. Where did you get this creativity from besides the water?
Besides the water, which was, I'm sure, pure, better than now. But I got the creativity just innately. I think it's something I was just born with. My father is a very creative person. He's a lawyer, but he really had a desperate need to be an artist that he never fulfilled. And he played the piano and listened, blasting Bob Dylan and Janis Joplin in the house. And he was always working on journals and writing and photography. And he never got to express that. And I remember that as a very small child, those things in the house. And then I remember just having a need to be in my imagination all the time. It was like the best place. Even though I grew up in a nice town, the imagination was endless and limitless. And I can really be myself creatively when everything else felt like sometimes a world where you couldn't express the depths of yourself or what was really going on. Acting and writing and all the arts is a place where you have to put those things or you're not very good at it. And the world is like, you're not very good at the world if you put those things in the world. So it was the safest place. And it was just something burning through me that I really believe I was born with.
What did you want to be when you grew up? So you're a little kid leaning under that tree. What were your thoughts for the future? What did you want to be?
There's nothing changed to me now. I'm the same person. I wanted to be an actress or a writer.
Really? How come?
Same reason. It was just like my best friend. Like it was somewhere where I could be limitless and everything and build characters and scream, cry, go on journeys, tell the truth about how you feel. And that was just always in me. I'm absolutely no different now than I was as a little child. No different.
Except taller.
I'm taller, even though I'm quite petite. All those same desires are there. So that's why I think God puts them there, or whatever you want to believe innately in us, destined to be something that you have to sometimes go on a broken journey to rediscover. I think those things are there.
That makes sense. You are not in Long Island right now, right?
No, I'm in Los Angeles.
Why did you leave Long Island?
Well, I left there originally to go to college. Then I left college to go to Paris. And then I left Paris to go to New York City. And then in New York City, I found an acting school called the Neighborhood Playhouse. And that was where I was like, wow, these are my people. This is it. This is my home school. And I left there because I couldn't find the artists there that I needed to find, which I found in New York City. I found in Paris. I found in LA, like-minded artists.
That makes sense. Why did you pick Ohio State University?
I did, and it was kind of like a default school at the time. I always knew I wanted to be an actress, and I always knew I wanted to work right away. But everybody was going to college, and I knew somebody was there, and it was just kind of an easy place to go at the time. But then when I got there, I was like, okay, I have to leave here now. And it's not the best thing, and everybody should go to college, but I just felt like I already knew what I wanted to do, and it was like a detour on the path.
Did you graduate from Ohio State?
No, I left before I graduated, and I went to school at the Sorbonne in Paris. And then I left Paris to go to the Neighborhood Playhouse.
Okay, why Paris? Why the Sorbonne?
Oh, I studied French in school, and I always loved everything French. And I wanted to go live there and study there.
Sweet.
I've done a lot of things. We probably can't.
So yeah, we're probably not going to be able to get to everything. It sounds like you have done a lot.
Yeah.
So I asked why you went to the Sorbonne, and you said, because I studied French. That's not a reason. Come on now. Why the Sorbonne?
Just because of Paris. And I had read some of the great French writers like Anise Nin and Henry Miller. I just was always obsessed with Paris and felt a connection there and a beauty and an exploration of art and Europe. I've always loved Europe, not just Paris. I love other cities as well in Europe. And I've lived in a few different cities in Europe. It was just that need to voyage and explore other lands.
What city is Ohio State University in?
Columbus, Ohio.
So you went from Columbus, Ohio to Paris, France.
I did.
Are you okay? That seems like quite a shock.
I'm okay. I even left my car there.
You left your car in Columbus?
I left my car at a Mazda in Columbus.
Like just at the university or what?
At the university. I just wanted to find something out there. I wanted to find art. I've always had that bug in me.
Have you ever been back to the university campus since then?
Yeah, many times.
Is your car still there? Do you have like a whole lot of parking tickets?
I thought you meant there's Sorbonne in Paris. No, I've not been back to Ohio since.
I bet you have so many parking tickets. Your car's still there.
No, a friend of mine sold it.
Oh, you're ruining the story.
Oh, yeah, no, there's parking tickets. There's like 20 years of parking tickets. They can't find me.
You should write a short film about a girl who leaves her car at the university and goes to Paris, and then 20 years later she comes back, and then she's got all these parking tickets, and she's going to get it's a whole thing.
I'm writing it down.
Okay, so you went from Paris to where? You said all over Europe. Where'd you go next?
At that period of time, I went back to New York.
Oh, okay.
Pretty quickly. And then I signed up at the Neighborhood Playhouse. I auditioned for it, and I went full throttle into studying the craft of acting, full throttle, where I just worked very hard at it, studied there every day with Ron Stetson and Richard Pinter and wonderful acting teachers. And I just would be at the Lincoln Center Library watching like old plays, old films, studying some of the great actors and just studying the craft of it at that time. Waiting tables, studying at school, and doing that whole thing.
At what school?
At the Neighborhood Playhouse.
At the Playhouse? Okay, it's a school. Okay.
I went there because my best friend at the time was the great magician, David Blaine. And he's always been one of my best friends. And I remember telling him, hey, we can't hang out that much anymore in the city because I'm going to go out to LA and be an actress in LA. And he goes, before you go to LA, make sure you are a real actress and really study the craft of acting. And the best place to go is the Neighborhood Playhouse. And I went there because he told me to study acting. And I've been really studying ever since, all these years later, because of that one conversation with David. And had I not had that conversation with him, I might not have ever actually studied acting, which is now always the foundation to have, which is good for all the art forms, because mostly it's about listening and answering. But had I not had that conversation with him, I would probably not be on the same journey.
Are you still friends with him?
Yes, very much so.
So does he know how impactful that conversation was to your life?
Yes, he does.
Is he all freaked out and humbled by it? Or is he just like, well, I am David Blaine.
He knows. He's very humble.
So before even that, 1,000,000 years ago, there was a little 6-month-old baby that was in a movie called Potluck. What? How'd that happen?
Well, that happened because my father was actually doing the legal contract for the film. These guys that wanted to make this movie, Philip Marshak, there were a bunch of like experimental filmmakers who later went on to be quite well known. Also, actually in Paris, my father, they had given him some film documents. And I guess I was with my dad and they saw me and it was a famous porn star actress in the movie. And I played her crying baby in the film. I was 6 months old. I guess they said, oh, can we put your daughter in the movie? And I hit my marks. I was crying on cue.
Wow.
So if I have the story right, a bunch of weird filmmakers came to him and said, hey, can you look at these indie film contracts and make sure we don't maybe get screwed somewhere down the road with this movie we're trying to make? And he was like, I'm not an entertainment lawyer, but I'll look at the contract. And they were like, can we use your daughter in the film as well? That's how I got in that.
Because it was Bring Your Daughter to Work Day at the office.
Yeah, maybe that's where it all began.
Maybe. Wow. Obviously, you don't have any memories of that, but have you gone back and watched it?
Yes, in pieces. I just actually did an interview recently about the filmmaker because they've been trying to collect all of his works because he had like a cult following and he's like this crazy filmmaker. People follow after his movies, but yes, I remember parts of the movie.
So at the Sorbonne, sorry, we're going to jump all over the place here.
That's fine. I'm a jumper.
At the Sorbonne in Paris, you were in a film. Was it completely in French? Like all of your lines were in French and the whole thing was in French?
I didn't have any lines. I had to mime everything.
Did you mime it in French?
I mimed it in French. Yes, I did. I had to speak to statues in some ethereal language of mime. There was no real script on the movie. I remember that. It was very like Truffaut or Godard-esque. where you just had a page of girl talking to statues. I had to create the whole thing myself. But, all these things at the time, they're like seeds planted for what you want to do. Like when you just do weird films or all these interesting projects, they start to hone the things that you actually want to do.
Sure, our experiences make us. So why wouldn't that work in the acting world, right? So all of your things help make you who you are.
Right.
Speaking of who you are, now you weren't in Columbus very long, but somehow you managed to get into the Miss Ohio pageant. What's happening here?
I don't know what happened. They put me in that. They voted me in that. There was like a vote. And then I went in that pageant, which was a very funny thing. And I came in first runner-up.
In Miss Ohio?
Yeah, it was a big mess. It was a lot of fun. And I trained to do a dance in the pageant. And I really trained with somebody that had worked, I think, with Twyla Thorpe. And I worked really hard at that. But with the night of the performance in the pageant, I forgot the dance. Completely went out the window. And I just invented it on the spot. And I did like a lot of outlandish, very crazy things with the judges. Like I went out on the judging table and threw their papers all over the place. And I don't know, something like I had a lot of stage fright and it just kicked in. The dance completely went out the window after 6 months of working on it. And I managed to come in first runner-up.
Being in a pageant seems like a wild departure from your goals to be an actress. What made you say yes? What made you go along with that?
Probably my mom told me to do it. She loves beauty and glamour, and that's probably why I did it. And I think I thought I could do like a monologue or something, but you had to choose a different talent. And I've always danced, but that wasn't like a choice for me. I also sing, but again, those things are more for acting than I actually do those things by themselves. I don't know why I did it. I guess it must have been that.
Okay, let's talk about why Los Angeles. Now, every actor has to make a decision if they're going to go to New York or LA. You were actually in New York and decided LA is where you needed to be. Why?
Because there were more job opportunities for films.
What about all the Law and Orders?
Well, I think at the time there wasn't as an abundance of film production in New York, or it's like the dream you have. Like it's the ultimate place to go to be an actress is LA. It's the vortex of it. It's the root of it. Yes, there's a lot of stuff in New York, especially now. It built more, but at the time, it's like if you just grab a bag and go to LA. And that's what I did. I think I did this quintessential actress, even from the Midwest journey, where I literally took a bag and I really just stayed on a friend's couch with a little bit of cash, got a job waiting tables, and just tried to go after the dream. When you're young, you can do those things much more easily, I think. And LA just had that golden light on it of film production.
That makes sense. Kind of always has, yeah. And you're right. You can't really make those spur of the moment fleeting decisions when you're when you're older and have adult responsibilities.
Yeah, and when you have kids and stuff, it's really different.
Word.
But I think like New York was so saturated with theater. And again, it was just me getting out of myself and being in a place where magical things can happen more, perhaps.
So you get to Los Angeles, and then what's the plan? Did you have to find a home playhouse, a home theater? Because I know that you had the Neighborhood Playhouse up in New York, but what happens when you get to Los Angeles? Do you know anybody besides David Blaine?
I had a friend of mine. She was an actress too, and she was working out in a bar in the Valley, and I stayed on her couch. I knew her from New York. And then I took a job also waiting tables on Sunset Boulevard. But I was very, very lucky. And it was really the best time of my life in a way, apart from when I had my son. But prior to that, it was only about 2 months that I was waiting tables and I booked a very big film. And I was able to, with that film, get an apartment and furnish it. And it was a pretty big film at the time. So that was like my first project. I got very lucky.
What was the film?
It was Clay Pigeons.
Oh, okay.
I got that pretty fast. I think I had done one commercial prior to that. I got a manager from a film that I had done in New York that went to the Sundance Film Festival while I was still living in New York. So when I moved to LA, I called him and he represented me and sent me out on some castings, which I got very blessed to get the jobs pretty fast. So I was able to quit my waiting tables job on Sunset Boulevard. It was at the Mondrian Hotel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was cocktail waitressing. And I only worked there 2 months. And then I started working in acting full time.
Wow.
Yeah, I got lucky in that way. A lot of the hardships came after. Like at the very beginning, I was hitting stuff. So that was a blessing.
Did you know at the time how lucky that was that you were clicking right at the beginning?
I did know. And also because, especially that film, I had so badly messed up the casting. I got so lucky because I was clueless even how to audition. Because when you come out of acting school, that's not something that they really teach you. I didn't know anything about the business of acting. I didn't know like casting protocols and I had shown up to that audition and there was like a sea of brown haired, very pretty girls, most of them models. And in my mind, I was like, what the F are you doing here? And I went into the audition and once again, the stage fright kicked in and I forgot what I was doing. And I think I forgot some of the lines. And I did such an accent over the top, like a real Southern twang, like I was talking like this, which nobody could understand me. And the casting director said to me, oh, can you do that again with the accent? And because of my nervous system, I did it again, but with a higher level accent, with every word slurred and twisted and not understood with a terrible accent. And I left there and I got in this like dumpy car. I was driving. I don't even know how I got that car. And I called my acting teacher in New York and I was like, you never told me how to audition. I made the biggest fool out of myself. I feel like driving my car into a wall. I'm the worst actress in the world. What was that? I can't do this. I'm quitting. And then like 2 weeks later, they called and they were like, a car's picking you up to go to Utah tomorrow. The director laughed so hard at your casting that he decided to go with you. And I'm like, what film? What is this for? And they're like, yeah, you're playing Joaquin Phoenix's girlfriend. And I was like, who? Who's that? What? I can't go to Utah. What? I'm not ready. Anyway, that's how that happens. And all of my life, it's been the same way. Every time I think I can't do it, every time I think I'm terrible and not good enough, those are the jobs that I get. It's always like that.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
My Grandpa's Grandpa is an award-winning children's book. The story is that a grandfather, me, is tucking in Charlie, my grandson. Like all little children, he starts asking questions at bedtime. The questions he asks are about my grandfather. This book is a great way to think about how you can share stories of your family members with your children and grandchildren. You can order this book by going to Amazon or my website, cool-grandpa.us. If you purchase the book from my website, be sure to use the coupon code FS25 and save 25% on your order of my book, My Grandpa's Grandpa, from now until the end of the year.
Let's get back into it.
So working with Joaquin Phoenix, he has a reputation of being pretty aloof and pretty quiet and keeps to himself on set. Was that what your experience was?
No, not at all.
Really?
He was amazing. He's still one of maybe the best actor I've ever worked with in my life.
Take that, Michale Imperioli.
Oh, he said something.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Oh yeah, I worked with him. No, I think Joaquin is so great because he goes so deep. And even though I had smaller scenes with him, he really cared about those scenes. And we were so young. I mean, 24 or some, very young age. I remember getting to set and he was like, we should talk about our characters and why they like each other. And I was like really amazed by that because it wasn't just sort of throwing ourselves into it. Like I couldn't believe that at the time that I sat in his trailer talking about who these characters were. I love that part of acting where you really care about the character that you're playing.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we don't get to see or even hear about on this side of the screen.
Yeah. And to be really honest with you, from whatever great actors I've worked with, everybody's like that.
Except Michale Imperioli. I'm just kidding.
Except him. Right. But there's a reason why actors that we love are so great, because they really put their blood, sweat, and tears and depths and personal life into everything they do. And it's a lot of hard work. And it's a lot of very raw, transparent, courageous work. I think the greatest part of acting is the courage that comes with it and being willing to do it wrong. It's a connecting thing. You have to be real and connect.
Remember I said we were going to jump all over the place?
Yeah, that's fine. I do too.
Earlier, when you blew your audition with that horrific accent, you went to your car and you called your acting teacher in New York and you were like, hey, you didn't teach me any of this. I'm the worst. What was the advice that you got that day from that teacher?
Oh my God, if I let it go, just let it go.
Really?
Yeah. I think all the acting teachers I've ever studied with were just about being real and being your authentic self and not necessarily doing it right. Like bringing what unique qualities that you have to the roles, utilizing, like if you're scared, put it into the character. If you don't know what you're doing there, put it into the character doesn't know what they're doing there. So I've always had great teachers that were always about the work, not really about anything else.
That's awesome. That's kind of lucky because a lot of people have teachers that are, instead of waiting tables, they teach acting in between movies and TV roles. It's awesome that you had somebody who was dedicated to that particular craft.
Yeah.
Instead of just, biding time or whatever.
Yes.
When you worked with Michale Imperioli, was this before or after The Sopranos?
That was even before. That was a film in New York.
Wow. So before The Sopranos, you guys must have been so young.
Yeah.
You don't even look like you're old enough to have done anything before The Sopranos.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh my God. Hot mess mom.
He must have been a baby.
He was a baby. God, he must have really been a baby. I would say early 20s.
Oh, wow. And same thing. He was just the sweetest guy and
yeah,
all about acting and the craft.
All about acting, all about the craft, all about doing the best for the film.
Sweet. Your most recent film, I think, is Til Death Do Us Part. Is that correct?
That is.
Tell me about the film. Who's in it? What's it about?
The film is about a bride who wants to leave her wedding and not go through with it. And the groomsmen come after her. I'm not the bride. I'm the second woman in it. There's only two women, me and Natalie Byrne, who is amazing.
There's only two women in this movie?
Yeah. Everyone else is a man and all different types of men, unique characters, every last one of them, and all different from each other. And Natalie is the main protagonist, and she is a trained ballerina and a martial artist. So she's very intense. It's kind of like a Kill Bill or a Tarantino-esque film where there's a lot of martial arts in it. And I play an ex-killer who she comes to for some advice. And I'm married to Jason Patrick. And so the both of us were killers once, retired.
Like the Jason Patrick?
Yeah, the iconic Jason Patrick, who we all had movie posters of him in our rooms growing up.
Yeah, we did.
I did. And I said that too. And I embarrassed myself. I was like, I had a movie poster of you growing up, The Lost Boys or something in my room.
I definitely had a Lost Boys poster in my room. I was a huge fan of both of the Coreys growing up.
Yep.
Wow, Jason Patrick. Okay, cool. What's it like to work with Jason Patrick?
Well, there you go. It's the same. He's amazing.
Same thing, right? So these names, I guess if they don't have those qualities, we never really know their names because they're never around long enough to be somebody if they're not all about the acting and all about making it right, right?
That's right. 100%. I mean, we look at these maybe iconic, legendary actors, and it's the work. It's 100% the work. The other things, pictures and the side things, that's not the work. The work is, it's a very intimate thing.
I wish you guys could see this. She's twisting her hand like she's trying to unscrew a light bulb.
I use my hands a lot. It's embarrassing. Maybe that's, an Italian trait, but I'm not even Italian. I know, I'm not even Italian, but I have all these.
It was in the water. You were drinking Italian water in Long Island. Oh.
I drank the Prosecco, Long Island. Jason is amazing actor.
Til Death Do Us Part. It's available on VOD everywhere.
Yep.
Was this just a casting thing, or did they just call you and say, hey, Nicole, you want this job without having to do any auditions?
They did.
Yeah. They said, hey, can you do a ridiculous accent? And you said no. And they go, cool, you're hired, like that?
I swear to God, I'm not making this up, but you're hitting the nail on the head, everything you're saying in such a bizarre way, because that's literally what happened. our conversation is going full throttle because my agent called me. I was somewhere with my son in Burbank, and I had left my phone in the car, and the phone was blowing up with my agent calling, "Where are you? Where the F are you? If you want this job, you need to be on set in 1 hour in Marina Del Rey." And I was in Burbank in sweatpants, no makeup, carrying a pizza. I didn't even know what he was talking about. And he was like, "You're going to play Jason Patric's wife, but you need to be in Marina Del Rey," which was like traffic-y time and probably over an hour to get there. I didn't even know what the film was. And I just said, "Okay, I'm there." And when I got to set and I met Timothy Woodward Jr., he gave me the script in that minute where I had to film like another hour later on a boat. And he goes, "You see how I'm talking right now? From South Carolina." I'm not making this up. People are going to think I'm nuts, but I'm from South Carolina. Just listen to my voice for a second. I want you to talk like this the whole film, all right? And I said, "Okay."
Really?
Yeah, it really did happen the way that you just said it, as a joke, but for real.
That is hilarious.
It was hilarious. And it was so much fun. And Jason Patric memorized like 1 million pages of dialogue very quickly. And he shocked everybody how incredible he was.
Well, I don't know why they should be shocked. That dude is a legend.
He's amazing.
Wow. So did you go to the premiere? Was there a premiere for this film?
There was a premiere, I think it was last week.
Was it in North Carolina?
No, it was in good old LA.
So what was that like? Did you go?
I did go, and that was beautiful. It was amazing to be there and see the movie and be at the premiere, especially during, we were allowed to do it because there's a big strike going on.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know about that?
Oh, it's a strike. Oh, in North Carolina? That's weird.
Yeah, everyone in North Carolina strike.
So they let you guys do it, even though all that's going on?
They let us do it. Of course, those are the moments which are so great because I hadn't seen it. So it was wonderful to be able to see some of my work up there because you don't know what it's going to be. You don't know how it's cut.
So what did you think? First, what did you think about your accent?
It's so hard also to watch yourself. So I was really just watching Jason.
Yeah, that's why this is an audio only show. It's because I wouldn't be able to watch myself.
I can't watch myself. I was squeezing the girl next to me's upper arm every time I came on. I would squeeze her. I didn't even know her. Pinched her arm and I hid my face. And I was like, "Oh my God." But it's really a roller coaster ride, this film. It's like, whoa, it's just a journey. It's a very fun ride.
Again, who was the female lead in this film?
Her name is Natalie Byrne.
Natalie Byrne. Now, is she the only one that got to kick some ass, or did you kick some ass in this film as well?
I did not kick any ass.
What? You were a former killer?
Yeah. Retired.
You didn't get to kill nobody? You're like, "Sorry, I would kill that person, but I'm retired. Rules is rules."
I'm retired and I'm on a boat and I'm eating shark and I got to kick back a little bit. But I will tell you, the movie inspired me. Natalie inspired me to really go back to working out and boxing, getting in better shape. She really inspired me to do that.
Listeners, again, when she said boxing, she made a motion like, again, she was trying to screw in a light bulb. It was really weird.
And I punched the screen. Emphasize the boxing part. I don't necessarily mean boxing, but some kind of martial arts, dance, some kind of athletic activity that I can get stronger because the film really inspired me to do that.
Nice. So this film, the premiere was a couple of weeks ago, you said?
Yes.
Do you have any idea how it's being received?
Oh, it has an amazing fan base already, and it's being received really well. People love it. It was the same filmmakers from Final Destination, so there were already people that knew about the film and follow the genre of the film. It's a real genre picture.
How many times have you seen it? Don't lie.
I have seen it once so far, but I will tell you why. Because I'm waiting to see it actually, my dad asked me that because I'm going to be in New York soon. So he doesn't hear very well. Instead to go see the movie by himself, he asked me if I would go see it with him. So I'm waiting for the next time I see it in the theater to be with him.
How sweet is that? You're going to get to see it with your dad. That's sweet.
Yeah, he doesn't hear anymore. So I'm going to have to interpret it to him every beat.
Don't they have those things like you walk in and you go, "Hi, can I have one of those headsets?" And then you just wear earphones the whole time?
That would be great. He has earplugs, but he keeps leaving them on the subways.
That sounds terrible.
And
Well, congratulations on the success of the film. Again, everybody, it's called Till Death Do We Part. It's available on VOD everywhere, and it stars Nicole Arlyn and some other folks. Now, this is a super weird thing that I'm going to ask you. You're a writer? You wrote 26 novels about the Sugarspear Chronicles. Is that right?
yes, I don't even know how you know that, but yes, I'm a writer.
Why writing? I mean, I know you were writing when you were a little kid, but first tell me about the Sugarspear Chronicles.
Well, I wrote 26 books in a series of fantasy novels. They range from 45 pages to 160 pages. They were originally a 3,600-page manuscript.
Okay.
I stowed myself away in a flat in England to write at the time so I can get them out. And then they were edited down to those books. And then they were published by James Fry, who wrote A Million Little Pieces. He had a publishing company at the time called Full Fathom 5, which was a digital publishing company. So the books were online for quite a while. I now have the rights back to them and I'm turning them into films. It's a very easy thing to do because I had written at the time so much content, but I'm weeding out the content that I probably wouldn't write now and just making them more children-esque because they were very dark fantasy novels. I hand wrote them and then rewrote them on the computer. I worked with an editor to put them as the novels. I don't even know what to say because it's a whole story in itself. I had some stellar reviews and some bad reviews because they're very, very deep and dark content about a little girl who goes on a fantastical journey to find a king to grant her wishes to bring her father home. Oddly enough, and our conversation goes full circle again, it's about a little girl sitting under a weeping willow tree, burying her writing that nobody ever sees. And even the writings fall into an imaginary world under the tree. So she finds out she's a writer through this very traumatic, fantastical, like crazy, wild journey through worlds and countries. And it's a crazy thing I did. It's nuts. So I'm still using the books to make films now.
So you're going to turn these 26 books into films?
Yes, I am. And crazily enough, my son is helping me to go through the books and say, Mom, that's not good. Take that out. And I really listen to him because it's so innocent and pure. And when I wrote at the time, I think I just overwrote. I don't get writer's block. I can't stop writing. I broke a pinky over writing longhand because I wrote about 18 hours a day. Like I would take a 2-hour walking break through the countryside of England and then go back and write more. I couldn't stop writing. I still can't stop writing. Probably why I look so tired is because I'm up about 4 a.m. every day before my son gets up because I'm working on another book collection. Writing is the greatest love that I have in art because that I don't have to, same like the little child in me, I don't have to wait for somebody to tell me, yes, you can go do that movie. You know, it's just an everyday thing.
You say your son is helping you. Is that through Bird in the Wild Productions?
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. This is where my heart is living right now.
So you and your son started a production company?
We did. We started a production company called Bird in the Wild Productions, and it's based off of, the title is from my son's first movie that he made at 5 years old called Bird in the Wild. That movie got into 20 film festivals. So we took the title to make our production company because of the success of that film.
What made you decide to start a production company in the first place, let alone with your 8-year-old kid?
Because of the amount that I write and the amount of scripts that are in my house right now that he's written and I've written. And also my son makes a lot of short films that are pretty well received by film festivals. He's going to be in another one for another film he made. We just want to make great films. And we want to work with super talented people. We want to tell great stories and not just, sit around and wait for jobs. And we want to put great, beautiful things out into the world.
So when your son was much smaller, did you take him to Long Island and have him drink the water?
You know what? He's going to be there next week, and I'm going to make him guzzle that water.
It sounds like he's already a very, very creative and prolific kid. I mean, he's 8 and he's already done all these things. Wow.
It sounds so crazy because it's almost like, oh, why are you bringing your kid there? Why are you doing that? But he has the impotence of himself and the curiosity and the drive within himself that he's had since he was 5 years old to make films. He writes them, acts in them, directs them, composes the music, and edits them. So I can't really stop it. All I can do is help him and join forces with him because it's the greatest joy of my life to see him doing all these things so freely. So I'm just very supportive of it.
Well, that is really, really sweet. Wow. Do we say his name? Is that a secret?
We could say his name. His name is Josue Botini, and everybody calls him Gio.
Gio. Oh, rad.
Giosue with the accent on the E. If the accent's not there, it's not the same name.
Sure. Yeah. Where did you get that name from?
I got that name from Italy. He's half Italian. His father lives in Rome. At the time when I was pregnant with him, I wanted like a name that was obscurely Italian. And I remembered the name from the movie La Vita Bella, which is a Roberto Benigni film called Life is Beautiful. The little boy in the movie's name is Josue. And there's a scene at the end of the movie where the mom, she has her arms open and she says, Josue. I just love that name because it sounds like a song and not a name.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like a lyric. Again, everybody, Til Death Do Us Part is on VOD everywhere. Go to, I guess, Amazon, and we're going to find out where else in a second to check out the Sugarspear Chronicles. Where else can we find that?
That's on Amazon right now. And I'm going to be reissuing them. And we are making films out of them right now. You can find the books on Amazon, the complete collection of the Sugarspear Chronicles.
I know it's available in Kindle, but it's also available in paper?
No, it is not.
It's just Kindle.
Just Kindles.
Okay. And again, with her 8-year-old son, Josue, Bird in the Wild Productions. Oh my gosh. That is so wild.
Yes.
Nicole, where can people find you on social media?
Nicole Arlyn, Instagram, or Nicole Arlyn, Facebook.
And this is where they can go to find out about projects you're working on, how some of these scripts are coming, how Bird in the Wild is doing.
Yes. And we will also be having a website for Bird in the Wild Productions. Everything is coming, but I'll always be posting on my social media platforms where to go for the next step.
Oh, fantastic. Before I let you go, Nicole, is there anything that I didn't ask you or we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about today? Specifically, like, did we hit everything? Did I miss something?
Do you feel so?
I feel like we got it. We could talk forever about Jason Patrick, David Blaine, Michale Imperioli. We could talk about everybody forever, but I think we got it. What do you think?
I think we got it.
Hey, fantastic. Nicole, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic writing novels for 18 hours a day schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you as well. This was so much fun.
Well, the pleasure was all mine. And you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Opening music is the song FSP Theme, written, performed, and provided by Ambush Vin. Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jax Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend. Subscribe and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.